Hi everyone and welcome to the panel shows It's Your Business. I'm Chiara Gizzi and I'm here with Simone Neviani.
Hello.
Who is an entrepreneur and actor.
Hi. Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Hi Chiara,
So
how are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm well.
It's great to see you.
Glad to see you too.
So tell us a bit about your story in business. How did you get started in business? Because Simone is, where are you from?
Italy. I'm originally from Italy and I moved to Australia roughly 4 years ago.
4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you get started in business in Italy?
It literally happened. So my family, the grand side of my family, let's say my granddad, he was running a business and he was running that for roughly 50 years.
Wow,
kind of thing.
50?
Yeah, 50.
Wow.
Roughly.
What was the business?
It started off like really tiny, just a local little production company for food. So
Italians love food, right?
yeah.
It's all about the food.
But that was for livestock. That's the
see.
difference.
Yeah.
So anyway, he started off when he was young, really young, and they kept going his whole life. He never stopped.
They do that too, the Italians.
Never.
My dad's Italian, so they just keep working.
Like really endlessly working and fearless. A fearless man, like tough man. I always respect him and I love his. Yeah, I still love him. Yeah. He's not here anymore, but yeah, he left me and my family roughly 1 year ago. Anyway, I started off because I finished high school. I'm a graphic designer.
Huh.
We didn't know that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a graphic designer. I never done it as a job because as soon as I finished high school, I was already thinking of moving to London.
Wow.
But my family didn't kind of allow me to, so they sort of stopped me before I was doing the move.
Why did they stop you? Was it that they wanted you in the business because that's just what you did?
Kind
it was
of thing.
Kind of the
so,
expected thing that you would join the family business. Yeah.
Yes, that's what it was. So my dad told me, Simon, it's time for you to start working in the family's business, and then you're going to take over the role of your granddad. And I was like, yeah, fantastic. In Italy, there was a big crisis happening, so it was really hard.
In terms of the economy?
Economy, yeah. Right. It was really hard to find a job, and it was, let's say, the easiest way to fall into place. So I started off working in the family's business, but like from the bottom, from the very bottom.
That's great that they put you in the bottom of the business. They didn't just, you know, because you're the grandson, they didn't just put you straight in some top position.
I don't know if I can say these kind of words, but like no bullshit. Like no.
We can edit it out if it depends.
But yeah, like you gotta work hard and demonstrate how much you care about the business and how much you wanna get involved in the business. So it wasn't just the usual 9-to-5 job. So they made me start by like 9 to 5 just to, to get moving, start understanding and studying the business. And then as soon as I got confident, I started off like at 7 a.m. and I was finishing at 9 p.m. or
That's long hours.
Whenever you finish, because when you run a business...
That's the thing, isn't it? When you run your own business, there's no start and end to the day. It's just a constant...
Exactly.
Yeah.
You wish there was, but...
There's no holiday leave.
No.
How did that kind of affect you personally? Like how did you... Because they're long days, so how did you kind of find that brought you to sort of changing your life?
Because it was really tiring, mentally was draining, but mostly like everything that I did in that business was because of the love I had behind for my family.
Sure.
The problem with that emerged when it was time to, let's say, spread the percentage in the company. So I was representing the 50% of the company, and the other 50% was the other side of my family,
Right.
which was from the brother of my Nono, and
Nono is granddad.
yes, and his son. So they were owning 50% of the company, and we were owning our 50%. Problems start when we had to discuss about how to further develop the business, and also at the same time my granddad started getting sick. Like he started having Alzheimer and dementia, and it was really hard to have him around. When you run a business, like, you need to be focused, but at the same time there's the person that you love. In that very moment he starts messing up around the business.
Oh, wow.
And it was really hard for me, like, to keep focused and at the same time not blaming him.
Oh my goodness, that would have been incredibly challenging.
And like, the thing is, the other percentage, like the other half of the company, they were blaming me of doing it. So they were kind of trying to manipulate the whole thing.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, but a lot of nepotism and a lot of kind of control and selfishness.
So what was it? Was there a catalyst that made you say,
Yes,
enough?
there was a day. So there was a day when I considered that I was working like longer hours, like really demonstrating to everybody that I was doing good. However, that probably was never enough, especially from the old mentality that certain people were,
Yep.
That day, I decided it was enough. So I got really personally insulted, and they told me that I wasn't caring at all about my granddad. I wasn't giving a damn about him, and I was too stupid to be where I was. Yeah.
That's awful.
So I remember that everyone left. I kept working until I had to finish certain documents. I was just reorganizing the agenda for the following days and everything. And I felt kind of sinking inside me. I felt something happening here, and I started crying, heavily crying. I couldn't breathe. I had to do something. I called my dad because he was one of the shareholder of the company. So I called my dad, and he said that he was gonna come to the office shortly. He already had dinner and everything. I had nothing, whatever. All of a sudden, the wife of my granddad, she showed up at the office, and as soon as I saw her, I literally cried. I couldn't just contain myself. It was a moment, and my dad arrived, and everyone told me, like, you need to stop. You can't continue in this way. And what happened was, I went home, I had a shower, I went to sleep. The next day I was meant to go back to work. I couldn't physically leave my place. I felt I couldn't physically move, and I started. So like from that point onward, I started having anxiety attacks.
Sounds like panic attacks. Yeah.
Depression, because at the same time, you kind of grew up with that mentality, and you don't know what's gonna happen next. You don't know where you're going to next. What am I going to do? I don't know what to do, because I didn't want to quit, but at the same time I wanted.
Yeah.
So I had an inner conflict.
Yeah. So what made you decide? What was the moment where you decided to come to Australia? Was that like
I quit
after that?
I quit. So I quit after a couple of weeks of sickness, and taking medication, it wasn't the answer. And I was like, I sold everything I had. I sold all my properties, let's say, partially, and I left. I decided Australia because it was it was far away, basically. Like, I know. It was...
Get away from the family.
Yeah. I was just...
That's actually very similar to my own father's story is, they wanted to kind of get away from some of the stuff that was happening back there, so...
Same. Like, I couldn't stay there anymore. I felt I was trapped in a circle.
Yeah.
And...
You broke the cycle.
Yes.
And moved to another country. And so then on that journey, you kind of discovered some more about yourself. You opened up to your creativity and you started learning.
I had to restart everything from the very bottom. So I arrived in Australia and I had like the bare minimum of English. So I could barely survive, let's say. What I did was I studied English a month here in Sydney, and I felt, no, I'm not ready yet for the city. I can't do this. It was like too intense for me. So
Sydney
I left.
Is intense.
Yeah, coming from that state of mind, I didn't want to feel that way. So I left and I traveled by myself, Australia. I worked in the farms. It's something that you have to do.
It's a rite of passage as a
it's
tourist
something,
in Australia.
Yes, something you gotta do.
Go and pick some fruit.
Yeah, so you gotta work in the farms and do fruit picking. But I was lucky enough to do volunteering, which was called woofing. And I had the chance and the opportunity to live with Australian families and do other jobs. So like I worked with animals and everything. It was amazing.
And how did you then come across acting? Like at what point? Because that's your other passion, right? So
that's my main passion right now.
Outside of business, that's kind of led you to...
Yeah, so acting happened when I remember that I started working a store as a store manager. And as soon as I started, I signed a brief for a gig came to me from an agent I had back by that time. And
so were you always into acting and then
no.
you just sort of, right.
No, like I literally popped up on my Facebook, that 2 years ago was, I had my very first acting gig in theater 2 years ago. And this year I celebrated my 4th year in Australia with winning the Atlantic Acting School Scholarship, which took me they gave me the opportunity to go to New York and study.
Yeah,
it was
that
amazing.
Was recently,
Just recent, got back a month ago.
So you kind of left behind your family and all the kind of traditional things. You went on a personal journey of discovery and you found your creativity, and now you're setting up as a business person, because as an artist, you are a business person.
Yeah.
You're your own entity.
You are, But I found really interesting, like the collaborative era of it. So like the more network you do, the more you collaborate with other artists, the more you gain, besides the self-confidence, but also you grow as, not just as individual, but as community. And so, that led me to develop and start producing, and now I'm currently in pre-production of my very first short film, which I'm gonna be acting in it, and we're going to be distributing it across American festivals, Canadian, European, and Australian, of course.
Amazing.
But that's our main aim,
And I think it's wonderful that, you've gone from a place of being in business that was maybe financially creating some abundance for you, but was creating an incredible amount of pressure and wasn't fulfilling your heart and your soul. And now you've found something that...
It was totally different. It's full opposite. Like before it was about money, and now it's more centered here, where the heart is. Before it was more in the pocket. So before, I have to say, like before I was wealthier, I had no problem. Like I never paid a rent before I moved to Australia.
Yeah.
I was actually owning places, and I didn't need to do much.
Yeah.
But that also detached me from the reality, from just being connected with you in this very moment and listen to you and listen to each other.
Yeah.
Before I was really defensive. I wasn't showing who I really was because I never felt appreciated by people I was surrounded by.
Well, I know we certainly appreciate you, and I'm so grateful that you came and chatted to us today. And what an incredible story. I think we can all relate to that, you know, that challenge. We've all experienced different types of challenges, but it's certainly inspiring to hear your story. And yeah, look forward to seeing where you end up.
I'm hoping, we're going to end up in a good place.
Yeah, let's go all the way to the Emmys.
Let's hope, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.